Yeah, kasi di ba may we're talking about the land of Mu, which is possibly an ancient civilization that's lost to antiquity, and like we don't know the timeline of the civilization, possibly before the uh pre-Atlantis time or contemporarily during time Atlantis. It's often like closely associated with the Garden of Eden itself. So it's very interesting to actually look into this historical data of the land of Mu itself. Let's just get into it.
Wildest. Also, it seems the most concrete. Many years ago, a researcher discovered evidence of an ancient mother civilization, MU, and it looks like this is where we truly came from. What is this Mu civilization? What proof did historians find to brand it a mother civilization? Is it possible that we came from this extraterrestrial lineage? We will find out together in this new episode of Secret Origins. Welcome. In the 19th century, hot whispers about a strange idea began to make rounds. This idea challenged everything that historians believed about human civilization. Because this time, it was not about Atlantis or ancient Egypt, nor was it about Mesopotamia. It was about a continent that came before these civilizations, a lost world called Mu. And it all started with a man called Augustus Le Plongeon, a 19th century archaeologist who spent his career studying Mayan ruins. He was known for arguing about how the Yucatan civilization was older than Egypt, but no one expected this archaeologist to dig even deeper. Out of the blue, Le Plongeon claimed that a continent called Mu once existed, and ancient Egypt stemmed from it. He insisted that during his study of Mayan texts, the strange language spoke of a great civilization that preceded all known history. To make it worse, according to Le Plongeon, this great civilization was swallowed up by the sea. Le Plongeon believed that the Mayan civilization...
The same narrative with, the other ancient civilization, Atlantis, Lemuria, and all this. There's a lot of information about this ancient civilization that's been lost to antiquity. Like, we don't know anything about them. There's a lot of them, like Hyperborea, Lemuria, like...
civilization was not self-made, but rather descended from the refugees of Mu who fled after their homeland was swallowed up. However, his ideology was too radical to pursue. He could not say where this civilization once existed or what could have happened to them, and if they did exist, where was the proof of their existence? Because Le Plongeon lacked substantial proof of his belief, the whispers of Mu were soon swept under the carpet. This was until it intrigued one man, James Churchward. Suddenly, the rejected idea rose to the surface again. Why? Churchward didn't just think that Mu existed, he had proof. In 1926, a British writer published the Holy Grail of Ancient Civilizations. His name was James Churchward, and his three-part book series was titled The Lost Continent Mu, The Children of Mu, and The Sacred Symbols of Mu. In these books, Churchward told a tale that mesmerized all who heard it. With his testimony, the doubts that Mu existed were halted, page after page. According to Churchward, 50 years before he published his book, he was a soldier in India. During his service time, he befriended a high-ranking temple priest who showed him the unspeakable. That fateful day, Churchward said he was having a friendly chat with his priest friend when the conversation turned serious. The temple priest had something to show the officer, and it was unlike anything Churchward had ever seen.
Yeah, these were called the tablets of Nacal.
The priest brought out stone tablets that looked old. On these tablets, there were written messages in a language that was too complex for Churchward to decipher. According to Churchward, the tablets were sunburnt, and although they looked like stone on the outside, they were built with clay. The language in the tablets was called the Naga Maya language. This was a long-lost language understood by only 2 other people in India at the time. But Churchward was interested in interpreting the message on these tablets, so he made a deal with the priest. Teach me the dead language, and I will restore and store the tablets for you. At the time, James Churchward was also known for properly storing ancient artifacts. This seemed like a good bargain to his friend, the priest, and once this deal was settled, Churchward began a difficult journey to unravel what was written on the stone tablets. When he did understand them, he wrote in his book that the tablets originated from the place where man first appeared, Mu. But that was not all. The world was not ready for
Yeah, why was this information on mainstream? Like,
the detailed description that would emerge from Churchward's understanding of the Naga Maya language on the tablets. The story on the tablets kicks off with the creation of planet Earth Mu and the superior human civilization that lived within. The people of Mu were called the Nacal, and of course, Churchward had a vivid description of their existence. According to the writer, Mu was a continent that flourished between 50,000 and 12,000 years ago as a real world. In his words, Mu was dominated by a black race and was superior in many respects to our own. As if to further shock his audience, Churchward noted that Mu had over 64 million inhabitants, 7 major cities, and colonies on other continents. He explained how the 64 million people of the lost continent were divided into 10 tribes, but they followed a single government and had a single religion. But let's move forward to the big question. Where was Mu located? In the Pacific Ocean. You heard that right. Churchward revealed that the land of Mu was located in the Pacific Ocean, and it stretched east-west from the Marianas to Easter Island, and north to south from Hawaii.
It's almost like there's like this much space between them. Almost like we can assume that something must have existed between these two continents.
To Mangaya. Not only did it spread across such vast land, but it was deduced by historians to be bigger than South America. Mu was that large a continent. But it also begs the question, what was within this lost continent? Aside from the Nacal inhabitants within, this continent brimmed with natural life. Churchward recalled that the continent was a beautiful one with vast rivers, massive hills, and gorgeous plains. What started as sunburnt tablets with a strange language soon became the reference for an ancient civilization that birthed humans. But as you may already know, the testimony of one man, no matter how sincere, could not stand solely as evidence of a matter so controversial. So the questions kept coming in. If Churchward was right to back Augustus Le Plongeon in his claims of Mu being a mother civilization to humanity, what in the world happened to over 60 million inhabitants of a highly advanced civilization? Where did they all go? Churchward's response was staggering. They disappeared, he said. In his words, 12,000 years ago, Mu was completely obliterated in almost a single night. Wait, what? We were just as shocked. Churchward claimed that Mu faced a sudden series of earthquakes and volcanic eruptions. Amid the disarray, the broken land fell into that great abyss of fire, and so it sank and was covered by over 50 million square miles of water. In one night, the great mother civilization that birthed ancient Egypt and other known civilizations had crumbled. But the more Churchward explained, the more implausible his cause sounded. If he did read about Mu from the tablets handed over by the Indian priest, where did the tablets go? Could they have been hidden away? Or did Churchward invent the whole story? Before you believe the latter, hold on. When everyone least expected it.
Even if they found the tablets, they're not going to show it to the mainstream. Like, they would have taken that away shit and never released that to the public.
More testimonies about Mu began to surface. One such remarkable testimonial was from the infamous mineralogist and archaeologist William Niven. Born in 1850, Niven lived to discover hidden minerals and stuck away tablets. In 1921, Niven discovered the first of over 100 tablets while digging in San Miguel Amantla. On these tablets were texts in languages too complex to understand. But to the shock of many, one man could interpret them. James Churchward. Churchward claimed that the language resembled the one he initially learned from his priest friend in India. This led many to wonder, what if the Niven tablets were also written by descendants of the Mu civilization? Churchward confirmed that the text was similar to the Naga Maya language, but the ancient stones were not the only proof that Churchward had. When it comes to proof of Mu's existence, this is only the tip of the iceberg. Do you know that there are questionable structures underneath the Pacific Ocean? Imagine taking...
Yeah, bro, there's a lot of these underground structures that's not even discovered, bro. Like, you can see one in Japan, you can see one under Cuba. Like, there's a lot of this megalithic structures. Like, we don't know their origins from, like... It's crazy.
...trip to the Pacific Island and witnessing structures too defined to be attributed to nature. This was Churchward's next proof. The area deduced to be occupied by the Mu civilization had monuments that showed evidence of their existence. It made sense, too. If Mu was real and as advanced as Churchward believed, then its people would have left behind traces of their knowledge. And they did leave traces bold enough to let us question all we believed about the true creation of mankind. The first outstanding evidence of the mother civilization is the Moai statues of Easter Island. The Moai are gigantic stone statues of human figures built by the Rapa Nui people of Easter Island. But these are no ordinary statues. One look at them, and you could tell that the people who built them did so with meticulous precision and quality materials. Built between 1250 and 1500 AD, these have an absurd figure, oversized heads that make up 3 times the whole statue, and they have no legs. The tallest of the Moai is called Paro, and it is about 10 meters high and weighs approximately 82 tons. Can you believe that? When the Rapa Nui people were asked about the inspiration for building such monuments, they revealed that the Moai were created to honor their ancestors. But this was such a long time ago. So who were their ancestors, and where did they come from? This leads us right back to Mu. Since the geographical location of Easter Island also correlates with the location defined by Churchward.
Yeah, a lot of things about the Easter Island also does not make sense because, you know, if you look at the history of Easter Island, like a lot of things are a lot of inconsistency within how they even find it. They find it on Easter, like a lot of things doesn't make sense also.
All hands are pointing to one big question. What if the Rapa Nui people were descendants of the lost continent called Mu? Think about it. How else could a civilization from that time think of building such towering statues without being taught how to do so by an older one? Let's not forget the primary material used to erect these magnificent statues, volcanic tuff. This is a relatively soft, workable rock formed from compressed volcanic ash. It is said that this tuff was brought from an extinct volcanic crater on the island known as Rano Raraku, and on that site the statues were built. However, historians noted a fresh concern. As diligent as the Rapa Nui people were in building such a timeless monument with the resources available then, it was humanly impossible to move the Moai to where their remains currently reside. How did the Nui people do it? The tale from the natives would leave you shocked. The statues walked to their location, they said. When the oldest natives of Easter Island were asked about the mode of transportation of the Moai, this was their response. According to their oral tradition, the Moai did walk. But by now we all know that this is not a feasible explanation. Researchers Terry Hunt and Carl Lipo suggest that the statues were moved upright in a rocking motion using ropes. This is the closest alignment with the accounts of the islanders. Some scholars...
Yeah, that's false. There's no way you're gonna like, well, that's just using ropes and shit. Like, this is the same narrative that it always give out. Like, a lot of ancient civilization advanced stone structures. Like you see a lot of them now of antiquity. They're built using chisels and using donkeys and horses and pulling ropes. The pyramids were built using people, and people were moving rocks too by, pulling on ropes and shit. But this is like a huge red flag and a false narrative they're trying to paint. There was some kind of I believe there's some kind of advanced technology for moving these kinds of things. Like, that is my theory on it, but no way you believe in the official narrative. Like, bro, this erecting these stones using ropes, bro, I never believe that shit, bro. Like,
think otherwise and propose a different thought for transportation. What if the Rapa Nui used a system of logs to roll the statues to their destination? This method would have demanded lots of timber resources, but at least it was logical. The last suspected mode of transportation of these statues is the least believed, but it seems to be the one that Churchward loved the most: spiritual power. Some beliefs say that the Moai contain spiritual forces that equip the statues to move themselves to their respective destinations.
Yeah, that seems like a more possible conclusion, like, than the fucking ropes narrative. Like,
Churchward supported this trail of thought as he established from his tablet findings that although he thought mankind came from Mu, the mother civilization was no ordinary civilization. But if they were not ordinary humans like us, who were they? Before we dissect that hot topic, you need to see further proof that will make you give the Mu civilization some extra points on your board. Aside from the legendary Moai of Easter Island, the pyramid phenomenon is a mystery that might hold clues to the mother civilization. How do you explain structures so great being built across different parts of the world in similar patterns? Many say that the pyramids were built by the
yo, were they using some kind of advanced telekinesis to actually like lift objects and move? Like, that would be insane.
Egyptians, but is that true? How come pyramids built thousands of years apart by different civilizations all follow the same principles? Take a look at the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Pulling stones and, taking God knows how much amount of people to construct the structures, pulling the stones, using fucking donkeys and horses and fucking chisels. That sounds like ridiculously fake narrative to me. Like, using telekinesis lodestone, that sounds like a more possible narrative than whatever the fuck the mainstream tell us.
Located in Egypt, the structure is so meticulously built that scholars say it is aligned with extreme mathematical precision. Now, look at the pyramids of Teotihuacan in Mexico. They share similar designs despite being built thousands of years later. But this is the least cause for surprise. Have you seen the Shanxi pyramids, China? These are older than the Egyptian pyramids, yet they follow a similar geometric blueprint. This begs the question: were they truly built by different civilizations with no connection to each other?
Yeah, and these ancient structures are placed in energy grid lines, ley lines, you can call it. That's another conspiracy. I made a video on that. Like, these are intentionally placed in certain ley lines, and they follow some kind of geometrical, there's order to the structures where they're placed. They're not placed deliberately on different random locations. There's some kind of like a some kind of like a divine order for like an energy grid, something like that.
If yes, how would distant civilizations build the same structures, using the same principles, if they were completely isolated? What if the mother civilization, Mu, was the dot that connected them all? Multiple theories are rising to buttress the point. One suggests that the builders of the Mu continent carried this knowledge with them as they spread across the world. As they moved, they preserved their lost civilization's secrets in stone. Stone tablets, like the ones discovered by James Churchward. What if Churchward was not the only one who found those tablets? Although he was audible about his findings, others may not have been. A more interesting theory suggests that these pyramids were not just tombs or temples, but energy hubs built using a form of advanced technology too complex for us to comprehend. Could the pyramids be the last remnant of the lost continent Mu? If true, what advanced technology did this ancient civilization use that could not be understood? Were the Mu people even humans? Brace yourself. You are about to hear some of the most bizarre stories about the Mu continent. It will leave you questioning.
I don't think they're just humans. I also think there's like a hybrid, the Nephilim. It also everything during the pre-Atlantic and the contemporary Atlantis period, everything coincides with the fallen angels theory. These are not just humans. They're like They were living in the epoch of the fallen angels.
Your genes and wondering if you are.
And remember, the fallen angels also teach humanity some kind of like information. If you read in the book of Enoch, they were teaching humanity sorcery and all those kinds of things. Sorcery, metallurgy, they were teaching all those things. It's clearly mentioned in the book of Enoch.
100% human after all. Let's backtrack to who the Mu people were. As popularized by Augustus Le Plongeon and James Churchward, the Mu continent was said to be the first great civilization. That is, all human knowledge, technology, and even spirituality came from here. This would explain the magnificent structures on Easter Island and even the pyramids. But the deeper we dig, the more questions emerge. How did an ancient civilization predating Egypt achieve such incredible advancements? How did they develop complex languages, master astronomy, and build structures that modern engineering still finds difficult to explain? Little wonder the wild theories started
Possibly taught by the fallen angels. That's my possible theory.
flying in. What if Mu's people were not human? Enter the ancient astronaut hypothesis. This theory says that extraterrestrials visited Earth thousands of years ago and interacted with early humans, influencing their development.
Every time they talk about extraterrestrials, it's always like fallen angels. Like you can see a lot of ancient scriptures, ancient sculptures, hieroglyphics, some kind of like divine deities, and possibly alien-looking creatures. These were like fallen angel hybrids of Nephilim itself. It's so obvious.
Newsflash. This theory is no mere speculation. Proof has been found in ancient texts around the world. Take, for instance, how the Sumerians talk about the Anunnaki, celestial beings who descended from heaven to create and guide humanity, or the Mayan Popol Vuh, which elaborates on sky gods who made man from nothing. Or do we talk about the Hindu Vedas and their Vimanas craft piloted by the gods? The stories of
That's what I'm talking about. They have advanced kind of technology, like the Hindu Vimanas. That's stuff proves, bro. Like they have some kind of anti-gravity technology.
contact with extraterrestrial life abound. Some researchers argue that these were not myths, but visitors from outside our planet. If they are correct, could Mu have been their first point of contact?
100% fallen angels.
The witnesses of the tablets keep saying one thing. The people of Mu were incredibly advanced. They were said to have divine rulers who were wise beings with knowledge deeper than what a primitive civilization should have possessed. Now it seems like Mu is not just home to humans, but something more. A hybrid civilization, perhaps. But if this was true on any plane, there is a horrific likelihood that awaits any human willing to explore this trail of thought. Some theories suggest that if extraterrestrials did visit Mu, they had one goal in mind: to intervene with humanity. After all, ancient texts keep making references to divine beings being the source of humanity or modifying humanity. This could have occurred through mating between extraterrestrials and the first civilizations. In this era, scientists could call such matters a total abomination because of their controversy. What if this coexistence was also an outrageous controversy back then? So much that the entire continent had to be wiped away in a single night. This is where the real chaos began. It did not start with the fascinating origin of the Mu civilization or James Churchward, the first audible founder of the ancient tablets. Neither did historians make a scuffle when the Moai statues and the Great Pyramids were linked to Mu, or more shockingly, when there were theories of a possible mating between humans and aliens thousands of years ago. The straw that broke the camel's back was the sudden disappearance of Mu and its inhabitants. All other theories and propositions were tolerated as historians could not find solid proof to debunk the claims of James Churchward. However, geological findings were the core strength of historians. If there were no intellectual proof of such a civilization, surely the Earth would not lie, would it?
I believe they have proof, and they're intentionally not showing to the mainstream or the public itself. Like, I 100% they have proof. Reason why, if they show this proof to the public becomes aware of some kind of advanced technology that the military actually have. At this point, it gives them, public become aware of free energy, public become aware of like advanced technologies that possibly you can actually use or control or move using the mind itself. Like, they don't want the public to find about this shit, bro. Like,
sadly, there is no geological evidence of a sunken continent in the Pacific, and this is how scientists concluded. Geologists argue that continents don't just sink, not especially one with over 60 million inhabitants and a thriving livelihood within. Moreover, the Pacific ocean floor has been extensively mapped. There is no evidence of a massive lost landmass beneath the waves. Even plate tectonics, which is the process by which the Earth's crust shifts, makes it impossible for a continent as large as the size of Mu to have suddenly disappeared without a trace. Then there are the Nacal tablets discovered by James Churchward. The ancient records that he claimed told the story of Mu. The problem is that no one ever saw these tablets besides Churchward. He never provided the tablets for secondary analysis. Because of this, no other researcher could confirm their existence.
yeah, like, makes me wonder, like, if there wasn't another agenda, like when the British invaded India, like, to obtain these kinds of tablets, and they took it forcefully. Like, I also believe that narrative.
Without the tablets, the entire
There was some kind of grand conspiracy behind every invasion, every colonization. There was some kind of like a extraction of resources, and they were like burning down every information about, ancient civilization, ancient technology. They don't want the public to find about that.
story of the Mu civilization is built on an unverified claim. But it doesn't end here. Linguists also came forward to challenge Churchward's belief that Mu was the mother civilization that influenced Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Mesoamerica. Their thoughts: what if the languages and architectural principles of these different civilizations were all developed independently? Since there is no solid linguistic or genetic evidence linking them to a shared origin in the Pacific, this looks like a sure thought. But if Mu never existed, why do so many cultures have stories of a lost homeland swallowed by the sea? Is there a loose thread in this story? Perhaps there is. Although scientists and historians dismiss Churchward's claims of Mu being a lost continent that founded human civilization, some researchers believe that there could be an iota of truth behind the legend. One possibility.
Yeah, there were a bunch of like fallen civilization, like.
What if Mu was not a continent, but a misinterpretation of real historical events? Take, for example, the Indonesian landmass theory. Researchers suggest that Mu could be the Sundaland region, a vast area of Southeast Asia that partially went under at the end of the last ice age. This was about 12,000 years ago, at about the same time frame Churchward described. Another misinterpretation deduced by scholars is the writings that started it all. Remember the Mayan writings discovered by Augustus Le Plongeon? Yes. Some researchers believe that Le Plongeon simply misinterpreted Mayan texts that referenced an ancient place called Mu. What if those texts were not referring to a lost continent, but a different symbolic land? And about the extinction of Mu. Churchward said the lost continent disappeared in a cataclysmic event. Volcanic eruptions and earthquakes, he said. But what if this legend is a memory of real events? Disastrous events like the sinking of Doggerland in Europe or the flooding of Sunderland.
Yeah, Doggerland and Sunderland. This were another kind of, massive lands that are present in the older maps, but now not present in the contemporary maps. It's crazy.
These alternative explanations suggest that Mu might not have been a lost continent, but a mix of different real-world events and myths passed down from generation to generation. Was the Mu civilization really the mother civilization of all humanity? Do we bear genes from a possible hybrid civilization? To this day, scientists lack concrete answers.
I also want to show a video about Nacal tablets. I think this my lens plate. That's what it's right now.
We all want to know who built these massive cathedrals, right? We all want to know who had the knowledge before we were all born. We want to know why we're being told that they were built with hammers and chisels. Today, I think we take a step closer to finding out where this incredible knowledge of construction truly came from. Where we are all aware of the massive continent that was completely left out of our mainstream textbooks, the land of Mu. So let's go even deeper. When we go back to this article from the Courier Journal from 1925, nearly 100 years ago, where it reads, according to the records from Colonel Churchward and the East Indian High Priest, the records state that some people were brought by flying machines to India from the land of Mu in the Pacific Ocean. The records say that Mu was the motherland of man. In Mu was the Garden of Eden, where they had cities, where they learned to build palaces of marble. They acquired the skill to quarry gigantic blocks of stone and to train.
That's what I'm talking about. If the Britishers came in India, the colonization was not just about the colonization was not only their agenda, their agenda was to remove any evidences of ancient civilization. Like I can also see that being their agenda. Like probably they have the Nacal tablets with them too. Like a lot of like ancient sculptures and diamonds and everything, like the Kohinoor diamond, like, everything like was taken by the Britishers during colonization. Like they took a lot of shit with them, bro. Maybe the Nacal tablets are also with them. That's crazy.
Transport them long distances and to carve them into human faces, where the records say that the people of Mu navigated the air and had ships where they sailed to far distant lands with rich cargo. And now that we
Same thing, bro. They had some kind of ancient technology, bro.
know all of this, I want to show a few things. First of all, this is showing that the technology of flight has been here before, where the Wright brothers' story, creating the first plane in the 1800s, would be a massive lie, where they have this information
Yeah. That would be pretty much a big lie. What?
stored and giving it back to us slowly, as we've discussed. Secondly, they mention in the tablets that the land of Mu was in the Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean has been named the Pacific Ocean for 13,000 years? Or was the land of Mu here much closer to our timeline? Or Is there more land? Not the entire continent, obviously, but are there other lands, possibly bigger than Easter Island and possibly bigger than Hawaii, left over from that cataclysmic event that are still here today and simply hidden from our maps and our flight paths, where our current day planes could simply just be flying around that area, where these hidden islands could be, hidden knowledge, where our flight paths are just circling it, the Garden of Eden, the place where humans had cities, where they learned to build palaces of marble, and learning all of the construction skills that we are all asking questions about.
I don't think the Garden of Eden is the land of Mu. I don't think they can be associated together. But I do think Mu is one of ancient pre-Atlantis civilization.
Worldwide today, we are all wondering who built these cathedrals. We all know at this point that the horse and wagon community did not hire Donkeys Incorporated in the 17 and 1800s to chisel away at some stone and marble and knock out.
It's super funny when it says the Donkeys Incorporated. Like, that's what the mainstream history tells us. They're making like a lot of pyramids, sort of this megalithic structures were built using fucking stones, donkeys, and ropes. That's what they tell us. Like, you can clearly see that's not the case. You can see advanced architecture on every one of these ancient buildings. Like,
the Cologne Cathedral.
Compare the ancient buildings with our buildings of the contemporary time, like of our current time, bro. Like, you can actually see like architecture of our buildings at our time, like, pales in comparison to the buildings and architecture of antiquity. Why?
We know this. We know that they didn't hit the stone with a hammer, a little harder and with a little more precision than we do today. And their work just lasts forever, and ours doesn't. It's not about effort. There's knowledge involved here. The Gloucester Cathedral, located in England, we are told was constructed by the people of the 1100s, 900 years ago. And of course, the narrative holds a major fire. In the year of 1088, because the narrative knows all about the year 1088, and this is fully documented, of course. No. The interior ceiling of the Gloucester Cathedral is incredible. And I am at the point where I believe that this knowledge to construct this way, architecture that doesn't fit into our mainstream history at all, of primitive people in huts, no power tools, and zero background on their training processes all over the world. This incredible architecture and construction in every single continent may have come from this continent of Mu, where they seem to have had communication with a higher power, where we are told that this is the Garden of Eden, and it shows through the construction. We have the physical evidence that they were able to construct the massive stone heads at Easter Island. And then we have this, Nan Madol, located on an island called Micronesia, a location that is connected to the land of Mu, connected to Hawaii, and connected to Easter Island, also located in the Pacific Ocean, a once great city of man-made stone islands. The construction of the artificial islets probably started 1,300 years ago. Probably. Maybe. When in reality, in my opinion, it wasn't 1,300 years ago and was much closer to our current timeline, where they go on to say that this was built at the exact same time as the Cathedral of Notre Dame in Paris, where they just eyeballed it, gave it a solid educated guess. The experts really nailed these dates, where the 12th to the 13th century seems like the winner.
Yeah. How are they even like pinpointing this precision of the dates itself? That's also need to be questioned. Like, how do they know on like certain kind of dates on Wikipedia, like on September 8th, 1089? Like, how do they even know that date, bro?
So it's very clear that these dates are attempts to fit this place right into their timeline of thousands of years. And what is with these maps? Throwing a layer of static right over the top of this location with a perfect 90-degree angle. It's interesting.
Yeah, Google Maps is the op, bro. Like, a lot of this shit is hidden, bro.
To say the least. Nan Madol has confused the mainstream narrative, and they simply don't understand how to fit this place in, where this location holds construction of megalithic architecture, where the so-called experts cannot explain it, where they say little can be verified about the megalithic construction, where we already know at this point that this land was connected to the continent of Mu, where they were given the knowledge to build palaces of marble. They learned to quarry gigantic blocks of stone, and learned how to transport them long distances, and also learned how to carve stone, where we are told that they built huge stone buildings. And then they show us these depictions of it in the mainstream history, like it was actually constructed in the water, like this. When we know that it was built on land, built on the continent of Mu, it wasn't originally in the water like this. In legend, we are told that the builders lifted the huge stones with the aid of a flying dragon. So we definitely have something very interesting going on here in the Pacific Ocean, where Colonel Churchward claimed that the civilization of Mu was technologically more advanced than we are today. And is this not exactly what we're saying today? A civilization that was here before us, that we are not being told about in our mainstream history classes, that was much more advanced, with so much more technology than we have today, where we are being given all of this technology back, slowly after 1776, where Columbus didn't discover anything, and was a fictional character in my opinion, when the previous civilization before us didn't know of less land than we do today. Instead,
Yo, did Columbus not found out about America, or that's how it's up his fake, bro? At this point, I don't even know what to trust in history anymore.
They knew about more land than we do today. It's a complete opposite, where Churchward goes on to say that this advanced civilization, this group in Mu, was known as the Nacals. The dates and the years are all over the place, and it's the one thing that's impossible to translate. This is in my opinion, but this is because the year 2024 is not really the true year. I think the calendar that we use today is fabricated to completely confuse us, and the further you get away from the creation date, the further you get.
That's obvious. We don't have the actual calendar of the, how to track years, and we don't have that. That's why we have a lot of problems such as leap years and all this shit, because our calendar is false, and we use like a lot of calendars throughout antiquity, like the Julian calendar. Now we use the Gregorian calendar, which just don't even make sense. Like,
away from the creator. I'm not entirely sure which year we are really in, and this is why it's impossible for James Churchward to know how long ago the continent of Mu was really here. I don't believe it was thousands of years ago, like I've said before. He also goes on to say the ancient civilizations of India, which would explain why these tablets would be in an Indian temple. Babylon, Persia, Egypt, and the Mayans were built by the people of Mu. And if there was one place in the world that would be hidden from our maps today, one specific location that holds all of this technology, flying crafts, marble structures, everything, who's to say that the group of people that found this location, or the remains that were at this location and are in control today, who's to say that this group wouldn't hide this location that is the stem of all information from all of us? Is it just a coincidence that the Pacific Ocean is basically empty on our map that we are shown? And don't forget that being in control of the map is a key part of the game. What if we are playing the game with a false map? Is it possible that a part of this incredible land of Mu is still here? Is it possible that the Garden of Eden is hidden to us? Is this why we have no idea where we are, or what we're doing here, or why we're finding massive structures that make no sense in our timeline? Hiding massive continents, hiding technology, giving us a false history, giving us a false map. Is this why we are distracted with Egypt, where they tell us to look to Egypt and the pyramids, while the real location is over in the Pacific Ocean, where Churchward claimed that the ancient Egyptian sun god Ra originated with the Mu, where Ra was the word which the Nacals used for sun, as well as for their god and rulers. Now, again, this is all information that we can hold on to for the future while we go further into this research. Finding a continent that's conveniently no longer on our map, where they were able to construct massive structures, had incredible technology, and would explain the pyramids in Egypt, is something that I cannot keep to myself. Churchward had two major critics, and neither of them actually ever read the tablets that Churchward did at the Indian temple, where we have Curtis Wilgus, a historian who taught at George Washington University, where he organized and directed the Center for Latin American Affairs, and also organized the school's annual Caribbean conferences. So this guy was locked in and knew all about these tablets, where the Caribbean conference organizer guy tells everybody that Churchward's research was the strangest of fiction. It was pure imagination, based on everything that he learned over at the annual Caribbean conferences. And that's exactly how Curtis aced his college exams, by asking
source, trust me, bro. Like,
zero questions and receiving 3 mainstream college history degrees, 3 of them. So we have a very open-minded individual in Curtis. Now, who is this other critic? Engineer and writer L. Sprague de Camp, where he simply dismissed the idea of the Nacal in an
I don't even know these people even existed. Like,
article in 1946, just dismissed it. De Camp spent 10 years attending Snyder School in North Carolina, in a military-style institution where his parents were heavy-handed disciplinarians to cure him of intellectual arrogance. All right. So we have 2 critics that spent their entire life being told what to think, and they were very good at it. And those were Churchward's critics, people that were never there, people that never spent the time in India at the temple, and had zero proof that Churchward was incorrect. By simply just saying that Churchward's work is insane or mythical does not prove anything. It proves that their minds are so manipulated to the point that they can't ask any questions and can't let go of the lies that they've been told. By admitting that Churchward's work is a possibility, it would mean that these 2 individuals would have to agree that all of their time spent learning one way of thinking and feeling like they knew more than everybody else about human history, everything that they thought was the truth, may have been a waste of time. And for some people, this is extremely difficult, and I can't fully blame them. But at the same time, they need to start asking some questions, and not towards us. We owe them nothing. We have taken a total of $0 from them. We are simply asking questions about our past. These questions should be directed towards the people, the institutions that have taken thousands of dollars from them. We are simply trying to find the truth at all costs. If a massive continent of Mu is truly out there, or even parts of it, hidden within the information that is provided, a place with marble structures and hidden technology, a hidden past, and possibly an explanation as to why these massive structures all over the world, in all of our cities, and possibly the location of the Garden of Eden. I want to know about it. Now that we know that there are basically 0 critics of James Churchward's work, and we have records from 1925 that James Churchward learned more than just hidden history. He also learned, in my opinion, hidden technology from the previous civilization, where James Churchward owned over 100 patents. Now, I want to go even deeper. James was a soldier. He was stationed in India, where he became close friends with an elderly monk from a nearby temple, where these documents were in a secret archive in the temple. The priest or monk taught Churchward the language called Nacal, by which the tablets were written. And we know that according to Churchward's work, these were the people that lived in the continent of Mu. And the part that I find interesting is that the location of where James was stationed, the location of where this temple is located, is wiped out from our database. The fact that we cannot look up.
Yep, that's always what they do, bro. That's what I said. There's a hidden agenda to every kind of colonization. Like,
where he was based, hiding his location as colonel, proves to me that they want this information gone and hidden. As if the British government doesn't know or has lost the records of where they stationed one of their soldiers. He was
So true.
stationed in India for decades, and this location of this temple is now hidden from us. Finding a continent in the middle of the Pacific Ocean was not a part of the plan. I believe that James Churchward messed up the mainstream narrative when he spoke to that elder. Having an advanced civilization that was here before us does not at all fit into the narrative that we created the first plane, the first train, the first car, the first phone, TV, the light bulb, and the rest, all in the 1800s. It would make sense that all of our worldwide technological information would all stem from the Garden of Eden, or in other words, the beginning place, a branch off to Egypt, India, Mexico, Asia, and the rest of the world. Having an advanced civilization that was here before us does not fit into the narrative that today we have the best construction processes, and it honestly disproves the evolution theory. It shows that we are not evolving and advancing. We are simply growing as we are allowed to grow. We are as advanced as we are allowed to be, and this is what
So true. You know, the United States military and the British, they have all this advanced technology, bro. Like, and they're not releasing it to the public, bro. They know all this information, bro. Like, that's what I'm
James
telling you.
Churchward proved. And this is when this article clears up a lot for us. When James did not go to India with the intentions of learning any of this information. He was stationed in India and was in charge of the old priest. James was in charge of the priest. This was his role. This priest was one of the 3 most highly learned priests of India. Secretly stored in the archives of the temple were hundreds of clay tablets. The old rishi or priest became highly attached to James Churchward and taught him the key to the ancient alphabet. So this priest or rishi taught James this information and then showed him secret tablets. And then we actually have these massive heads at Easter Island. We actually have the structures at Nan Madol. We have physical proof that backs James Churchward's narrative up. You can physically go there and see it for yourself. So the location of this temple in India, where James was based for years, is wiped out from our knowledge. But we all know that if there is a temple out there in India with hundreds of hidden tablets that hold incredible knowledge, then there most likely is more than one. Who else?
Insane. They're not releasing to the public, bro. Like, it's crazy, bro. At this point, like, that's what I say. So I can subscribe if you want more, like, the reaction to ancient civilization. Like, we'll do them all. Like, so that's about it. Have a good day. See you guys.